What up, though? Welcome back to I'm Growing Man. It's your man, John D. in the building. I wanted to get on here and talk about this marriage life. I've been hearing and seeing all kind of things where people are not for marriage. I'm going to get on here and say I am definitely pro-marriage. I do believe with the information that I have now, I'm going to give to you guys. Marriage is for two mature people, period. But, when you get into a situation where you think in order to get married, you have these things covered, but you don't really uncover what can really challenge the decision you're going to make on that relationship, it's not going to work. Then you're compromised. So I think we need to do a better job with how we vet the people that we decide to engage in any type of relationship. The problem is people want to wager sex, and women and men look at sex differently, and people get pregnant, having babies at an early age, thinking that, your life completely changes. You're not even developed, having babies at a young age. And then we got people having babies with people that they don't even want to have relationships with. And now you're connected. Just think about the best version of yourself. What could it look like, right? If you are not able to do that, you got to at least prevent somebody else from getting there. Because the way that I look at it, we're in this cycle. Everybody knows somebody. But if we don't have an example of what it looks like, people are going to say, marriage, it's not for everybody. Marriage, it isn't for everybody. I get it. You know why? Because you didn't know how to do it. I'm telling you this from my own personal experience. I looked at marriage in different ways throughout this entire process. But where I am now, I'm committed to being a better husband every single day. Because I know that the person that I am today, I didn't even know I could become, wholeheartedly. I want to give her an experience as a wife, my wife, that no other woman has ever felt before, because there's no men trying to do that. And the reason why I feel it's only the right thing to do, because I have a son and a daughter, and I want to be the example that I feel like they need to reflect when they get out in these streets, because when they get out there, they could be distracted by money, clothes, education, job. How to really communicate effectively enough to stop the cycle. And even if some of us was able to escape it, we know somebody too close to us playing that game that's preventing them from enjoying this thing we call life. I feel like where my wife and I are today, our relationship is so cold. We talk about everything. And recently, she just gave me a new set of eyes, because the way that she explains things, she allowed me to see it from a whole different group of people that I would have never been able to see, because we talk that often. And that's what I'm telling you. People, I don't know anybody that are in the situation that I'm in with my wife. Because I feel like the way that I was a horrible communicator, and now I know that when we have disagreements, I'm trying to figure out why we're having a disagreement, because we're on the same team, period. So we're trying to figure out what is causing the rift. We've gotten to the point where our misunderstandings are, I don't know, a couple of hours, or it could be less than. But I'm just saying, it's there's no grudges, because we know that we're on the same team. Why would I want to get mad at you on purpose? You know what I'm saying? Unless I'm trying to end the relationship or something. At the end of the day, you're supposed to be trying to figure out your misunderstandings so you can understand them together. Because if your parents did it one way, his parents did it another way, you got to figure out what's good for your family so you guys can understand together. So that's the reason why the conversations are so important. Because if you don't have enough conversations, you're compromising your kids. Because what you want to do is have enough situations where they can have many options to be able to make the right decision. Because if they don't have enough options, they go with the decisions of their environment. And we know the environment typically makes the poor decisions. So we have to have these conversations. Like, I promote Malcolm Gladwell all the time. Like, I can't wait to have a conversation with him. But I believe in like outliers. I feel like my wife and I, like, we put in valuable hours collectively just to grow. And I believe that, like, when we eclipse 10,000 hours, but I feel like for the rest of our life, like I hear people married 50 years and they say kind of negative things like, I still kill him. Like, I don't think my wife would ever say she would kill me, like, because our relationship is that cold. Like, and I feel like if I can show people how to find a relationship that could possibly work, it would change the way people looked at relationships. And I totally believe the way that people look at them now, it's like for stuff that doesn't even matter. You want to be compatible with somebody. If you can talk to somebody before you got any type of physical anything, because you can see where the person is. If they don't have time for you to talk, you shouldn't be participating in adult activities with somebody who don't even have time to talk. Like, you're compromising yourself and you're hoping you don't get pregnant and get a disease. It's so many different things that could play a role. And I just feel like we don't have these rules where we talk about them. Like, okay, if you're trying to have sex, are you trying to have a baby? You know, I feel like if you know more information and you believe in yourself, you're less likely to make these mistakes. But if you're unsupervised, you're going to do what your environment does. And typically that is make bad decisions. So with me and my wife accumulating these hours, I just feel like the way that we parent our kids, like, you know, she taught me this just recently. Like, I didn't even know, like, I wanted my kids to have the best opportunities to flourish, right? So we went abroad. We went to all of these countries. In my head, I just, you know, they get a different set of eyes, right? But the way that we raise our kids now, it's like, what is your passion? Because now we're going to throw things in your way that's dealing with your passion. You know, like, we want you to literally find something that you like. Because if you find something that you genuinely like, parents, listen, like, we be trying to find them jobs where it's all about money. It's not about money, because whatever they want to do, like, if you don't put them in a situation of something like, hey, this is what it takes to get here, they be like, I don't want to do that. But you don't want them to get to that point and then you feel like they've invested so much time into that and they can't change their mind, because at the end of the day, you want to be happy. And this is the thing. If you do something that you love, it's easier to practice, you know, but we're taught to like do a job, like, and I didn't realize that. She also taught me that. Like, I wanted just a job to, like, my father told me I graduated from from college, I get a job making $60,000. That was lies. For me, it was complete lies. Like, but that's where I was. I didn't realize how ignorant I was. And, just where my wife is now, she's all about what can we get them to do on a daily basis that they just love, and they just become so good in it that they find that level of mastery. They break down the process of what it takes to find the level of mastery through us creating these opportunities. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, it's just to be a part of that. But I feel like I don't think a lot of parents are exposed to these things because their life is going so fast. They don't have time to actually sit down and converse. And then that's why I feel like we need to really do a better job with people we decide to try to create relationships with. You need to be honest, you need to ask the tough questions in the beginning, because you don't want to invest your time into somebody and you end up liking them, and then you find out these bad things, and then it's too late to get out because you like them. Like, you want to check these red flags in the beginning. And I'm not saying that everybody don't need some help, but you got to put yourself first. You know, if you're not putting yourself first, then I don't think you know how to. So this is just me telling you, like, if you don't want that heartache that you see everybody else go through, like, put yourself first. Like, ask the tough questions, like, make them be vulnerable at that point. And if they can't, then you can't move that way, because at the end of the day, why would you want to invest your time into somebody who could potentially hurt your heart? And we know that is terrible. Nobody wants to hurt on purpose, but that's what's happening because you didn't want to ask the tough questions. Like, most of us don't know how to get better. And that's unfortunate too, because I know, like, I used to say, I remember saying, like, make today better than yesterday. Like, I used to just say that, but I really do, like, now try to make today better than yesterday, because my days be so cold. Like, Monday happened, and I was like, man, it feel like a Friday. Like, my days really be really cold. Like, I enjoy them all because today only matters. But if your life hasn't slowed down enough, it's just going too fast. So I'm telling you, maybe if we put some different messaging out there, give some parents some more options on how to raise kids, to get the kids to get better performers in school. Because at the end of the day, no kid wants to fail on purpose. But for some reason, the information is lost in translation. And, you know, me and my wife, we don't even really talk about our kids' grades, because as long as it don't look like something's a problem, because we feel like they come to us if they feel like they need some help. And the only reason why I'm explaining this, because I feel like me and my wife didn't have no guidance. We didn't know how to, like, raise kids. This is our first time raising teenagers. You know what I'm saying? Like, every step of the way, like, nobody gave us, hey man, you should do this or you should do that. So now I feel like we in this world where I feel like our kids are pretty cool. And maybe this is the reason why they became cool. And I'm not going to say it was because of me, because she definitely viewed parenting differently. She's so much further than me. Like, but she's gave me a new set of eyes that made me feel like I matured, like, just through a conversation, because I didn't look at something a certain way because I was blind in that area. I didn't get it. I wasn't nurtured from the way that I grew up till I got to this point. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm saying. Our relationship, like, we really talk all day. Like, when we're around, like, if I'm not down here trying to make new content and I'm not at work, I'm around her or as a family. Like, that's where my energy goes to. And I feel like it's just made me overall appreciate what I have, because I was so distracted by outside and then realized that all the fun is really on the inside. But if you don't know what that looks like, you're going to just do the best version of what it's supposed to look like. But to me now, I feel like that's why I'm working on communication, because I feel like people don't know what it's supposed to look like on the inside and get caught up on the outside, if that makes sense. So I'm working on communication and just try to break it down to say, hey, this is the reason why you're doing this. You don't have to do it this way. I'm not saying that we're raising our kids perfect, but we're always looking for ways to raise them better. So it's not, I just know that the information that she and I had before was limited. And now we're just going to do our due diligence and try to share as many different things to help other parents who have not as many options. Because at the end of the day, like, we only want our kids to do better, right? And what the blessing is that I'm in education. She's in public health. So the information that we have is like, the kids can only benefit from it, you know, because it's something that they're going to engage with when they leave the house without us. Public health, and how much education you got is depending on how far you go. So right now we're just showing the value of it all. Like, we even give our kids the option of mental health days. Like, we feel like, you know, people's like, you're doing too much. Yeah, you know, but at the end of the day, I feel like this. There are times where you don't want to go to work and you have to. But we're teaching them this, like, if you are not at 100%, why go to work? You know, because you can't give your best. So what I would rather for you to recover, whatever that looks like, because I don't know what's going on in your life, but I want you to know that there is no school more important than you. So if you feel like you don't need to go to the school that day, and you know, you will know if your kids are taking advantage of it. And I just feel like my kids have had that opportunity for the last 3 or 4 years, and they may have taken like a total of maybe 6 days total. It's like they just didn't feel like going to school, but they do very well in school. So to me, I feel like it's making them accept the accountability that they're going to school to get this information because these teachers got more experience in this area than I do. Because if you were really good at what you did as a parent, they wouldn't even go to school. So we send them to supposed to be responsible adults, but it's very difficult to be a responsible adult when You have kids that have these behaviors that is disrespectful in any environment, but they just have bad behavior. So this is gonna be, look, I didn't realize why teaching is so difficult, because depending on where you got your education from, and if you did student teaching in areas that different demographics that could be a little more aggressive, lower socioeconomic, like they don't teach that part in the educational part, because all adults that come into education want to really change. They want to help, but they don't have the education in whatever school, unless you specifically go to like an educational system that is indoctrinated into lower socioeconomic areas. It's a culture shock of like, oh my God, these kids are different. Like, I didn't realize that. My wife told me that because she told me about just nursing. Like, you know, when you're going through school, you're learning it from the book side, you know, like not the actual practice of it all. And then you get there and it's like a culture shock then too. Like, oh my God, like this they didn't say this in the book, you know, because it's only so much they can cover. And then when you get, depending on where you are, you know, you gonna have to have like close an eye or two, you know, close an ear or two. And I didn't realize the discretion that people got on other people depending on where you are. So that's the reason why people have a different bandwidth for tolerance of things that they cannot deal with. So when teachers walk out, it's not that they didn't want to help. They had no idea that the behaviors were that extreme. It was like, they were like, oh, I got to get out of here before they kill me or I kill them. So I understand. But I'll say this, if you're a mature adult and you really want to help, you're going to get the best benefits out of these students if you learn how to communicate. And, you know, people keep talking about you got to build relationships. No, you can't build a relationship unless you know how to communicate. If you know how to communicate, kids will come to you. If they feel safe with you, like they know that you're not going to yell. Like I'm telling you, look, this year I have seen the difference in all of my years that students feel safe talking to me, because like even when I'm upset at some type of behaviors, I don't even reveal it anymore. Like it's gotten to the point where it's like I'm disappointed. Like, are we doing this again? Because what I want to show them, like when adults get upset, they don't have to like raise their voice, because I don't want to trigger a kid. Because at the end of the day, like if the kid gets loud, why am I gonna get loud? Because that's like arguing with a kid. Like it looks like they a kid, they supposed to get loud. And I don't want to reflect that anymore. I used to be that teacher. I did, for sure. And there's a reason why I can say it. Like I used to go back and forth with kids because I felt like I had that relationship. But I was just a horrible communicator because I didn't show them how to become a better communicator. You know, I was just showing them I was an adult. See, that's the reason why now the kids now are exposed to different responses now. And I feel like I can explain why I don't get upset at certain things, because you're kids. And I understand that. And I think that I got all the way off. I'm supposed to be talking about me and my wife. But anyways, communication is the key. And then just bring it back to my wife. If you have effective communication, whoever your audience, whether it's student, friends, peers, your spouse, they'll receive the message. But if you got poor communication, you're hoping that they understood what you was talking about. That's the difference. So me and my wife we know how each other feel about some of the most difficult situations, and she understands my standpoint, and we walk together. It's not like she's standing over there, because she used to be off that agree to disagree. I said, we can't. I need to understand, because if you feel that way, I need to be over there so I can protect you. Convince me. And that's the type of relationship we have. When you can get that way with a relationship, like the days are a lot more fun, because you're like, oh my God, what else can we learn about each other? But if you're not there, it's because you haven't put in enough hours to appreciate each other yet. Or maybe y'all just don't want to do it. But that's what happens when you don't have enough information. You can stay with somebody and just tolerate them. But if you're going to, why don't you go on and get to know each other to the point where you enjoy each other's company, to the point where you look forward to waking up next to them. Like I'm telling you, it's a different type of relationship. relationship. But that's the way I feel about marriage. I feel like if you put in the time, like you'll get through the threshold and understand what I'm talking about. If you haven't gotten there, it's because you haven't put enough time into it. And I'm telling you, anybody who wants to disagree with this, you can be the exception. I'm talking about all the other people who have never heard of any of this information. You have to put in the time to cross the threshold to want to be around your mate. And it's an addictive feeling. Like you really enjoy it. And that's how they become your best friend for real. And this is to all the men who like kind of figure out why should you get into a relationship or why you should stay married. Because if you don't, you're just hoping that this other person's going to be mature enough to bring you through. But overall, women already want it. Men just don't know how to do it because I used to think that it had to look this way and that's how it was. And it isn't. There's so many different perspectives. And if you look at it from one perspective, you can be very narrow-minded. And being very narrow-minded can make you lose everything. And you didn't even do it on purpose. No lie. But y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA. Get after that action, or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose. Boom.